Welcome back to Studio F, where today we'll be talking about Napoleon here on Fast Times with Willy B. Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Russell!
Welcome back to Fast Times with Willy B. I'm Willy B. Got Kory back for a little bit of Napoleon action. Kory, how are we feeling today?
A bit tired, but I watched some pretty decent movies today, so I can't be complaining too much, can I?
For sure. So, Napoleon, directed by Ridley Scott, obviously. If you watch movies, you know who Ridley Scott is.
Sure do.
Blade Runner, Alien, The Martian, Gladiator, the list goes on and on. A lot of great movies from him. A lot of expectations going into this one. Some names you recognize: Joaquin Phoenix, obviously, the big name. Academy Award nominee winner.
Absolutely.
He plays Napoleon Bonaparte, the small but mighty man. And then Vanessa Kirby is the other recognizable name in this cast. And then, obviously, very big cast, but nobody gets quite the screen time that these two get.
Yeah, other than those two, I mean, I don't think anybody even gets close to reaching the level of you know, and even Joaquin over Vanessa Kirby. There's a big step in between those two.
For sure. So we're going to go the good, the meh, and the bad.
Sure.
Introducing the meh because I feel like there's some things that aren't good or bad, but need their own category. So we'll start with the good.
Sure.
Where do we want to start with this?
I would probably just start at Joaquin, you know? Joaquin or Ridley, one of those two.
We'll start with Joaquin.
Well, I'm good with Joaquin.
So where do you want to, what about Joaquin?
What about Joaquin? It's a great question. What about Joaquin? Joaquin was, I thought he was terrific.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm never gonna have a solid take about Joaquin Phoenix. Man, everybody knows he's an awkward, shy, regular person of a man, but a freaking fantastic performer.
Yeah, every time he's on the screen.
Oh my god.
Not award level performance.
He never bores me with a performance. I have yet to see a performance where he's bored me. I mean, obviously, like, his performance in Joker has to be up there for sure. Like, I mean, it won an Oscar, so obviously.
Yeah.
But I mean, I gotta say, I always really enjoy his performance in Signs.
Yeah,
and
I love Signs.
I love Signs.
Signs might be my favorite. One of my favorite Alien movies. I won't say my favorite.
I won't say it's my favorite, but it's definitely
Ridley
up
Scott's got one that's pretty good too.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, I heard it's okay. No, Alien is amazing. I honestly, my favorite thing. I mean, this is kind of a side note. You cut this out if you need to, but by God, I love in Signs when he runs around the house going, "I'm gonna beat your ass, bitch."
Yeah,
favorite thing in the world.
Yeah.
But no, he turns in a. I mean, if he won an Oscar for this, I wouldn't be mad. He did amazing.
Yeah,
and also something about him, like his face, it does kind of just scream Napoleon.
Yeah.
I think he was well casted for this.
For sure. I mean, like you said, you kind of nailed it. You know what you're gonna get when Joaquin Phoenix is on the cast list, and it's award level performances.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we get another one here. I don't think he'll win. 2023's had a lot of great performances.
Oh, he's not gonna win.
I don't even know if he'll get nominated, which is crazy to say.
The only one I'm confident will for sure be there is Cillian Murphy. Yeah. Obviously, Cillian Murphy is.
And Leo.
I would say Leo's definitely going to be into it. I think I'm going to take a staggering guess right here, but I think it's probably just going to go to Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, but that's for another day. So we'll continue talking about Napoleon. Let's jump to the cinematography. I thought this movie was gorgeous.
Oh, I thought it was shot so good. Honestly, today we had two movies that I thought were shot amazingly. Honestly, top tier stuff. And especially, man, with Napoleon, a lot of those action sequences were so good. And they're so fun and kinetic and energetic, and oh my God, it was amazing. I thought it looked fantastic.
Yeah, I thought it looked great. Just elegant is the word I would use when talking about cinematography.
Sure,
and
it seems technically right.
Yeah, and you mentioned, color gradient too was also phenomenal, but you mentioned the battle sequences. I thought the battle sequences was the best part of this movie.
Oh, obviously.
The ice battle, I would even go as far to say that might be the best war battle I've ever seen on the silver screen. I
would say it is top 3 for sure. I can't even think of anything else. So right now, as far as I'm concerned, yeah, I agree for sure.
It's just, and this is in the trailer as well, so people have seen this, and like I'm pretty sure the teaser is this ice battle.
Yeah.
But Napoleon, keeps the high ground, hides the cannons, gets them to get on the ice, pushing them back in retreat, and then unload the cannons on the ice. It starts seeing people, but like seeing like the people on their horse, like you almost start tearing up.
Oh, it seems like the Titanic. It's like, God, you're just watching people go. I remember having a thought.
Blood-infused water.
I remember watching, sitting there. There was a specific moment where a guy tries to climb out of the ice while he's hooked to his horse, and the horse is dragging him underwater. Yeah. And I remember thinking to myself, literally thinking, this isn't a battle. This is a massacre of these people. So the funny thing about that scene is that literally is what amped me up for this movie, because I had seen the first trailer and I was like, it looks good. Ridley Scott, Joaquin Phoenix, Napoleon. I'm interested, whatever. But whenever they dropped that second trailer, or whatever trailer it was, whenever they had the ice battle, I was so in after that. I couldn't wait, because it's even something about the way Napoleon just has this cold, like, it's not a big fire or whatever. He just sits there quietly and just
motions up.
Every time he did that, I for some reason loved it. Every time he just
yeah,
crazy.
It was a gorgeous movie. That scene, like I said, one of my favorites in any. I mean, this is more of a biography than I would say like a war movie, because it's definitely overtaken by some of the romance factors in his life.
So
I wouldn't say
that was the thing that probably mattered most, if we're being honest.
I wouldn't say this was a straight war movie, but as far as like war scenes stack up, that is up there for me.
It is for sure up there. And also the other thing too, I forgot to say this. I was worried. Not worried, but I was just kind of like, I kind of wish I didn't know about that scene going in, because now I already know. There's more to that battle than I thought. I thought it was just going to be them waiting for... This is your spoiler review stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was just going to be them waiting for them, and then as soon as they crossed the ice, they would just send the cannons right there. But there's more to it than that. It's a lot more elaborate. They had to set it up intentionally. They fought for a little bit. They flanked them on one side, and then next thing you know, they're uncovering cannons. They also have the high ground. Yeah. Oh my God, those people got so freaking screwed.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that battle existed, but that was awesome.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite scene in the movie for sure.
Oh,
and it kind of sucks that was the teaser, but after seeing the movie, you know why that was, because that's going to get people going to the theaters for sure.
It got me pretty much. I mean, I was going to go either way, but if I had been a regular person who doesn't go to everything, I would have went to it for that.
Now, as far as the good, I think overall this movie was well made. I think it's technically sound. I mean, I think everything technically that goes into making a movie was done very, very well.
As good as anybody has done. Yeah, absolutely.
But as far as outside of that, there's not much more for me to say in the good category per se.
Specifically for like a push for good.
Goes.
Yeah. I'd pretty much agree. The only thing I had to say is there were a couple times where I was like, I would like to know what the score is, because the
score was good.
Music had good moments in it.
Moments, yeah.
It wasn't as good as a movie we talked about earlier, which we'll be recording another time. But I thought the score was terrific. Honestly,
there was moments where some of the score felt like every other war movie. Yes. But there were some that
it was action sequences were definitely like your average, like, here's an actor. I mean, even Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer's like the GOAT with all the score stuff. But even his action sequences, a lot of true. But whenever it comes to action sequences, they're like, you just big drums and big bass or whatever.
Yeah.
But the moments were like whenever he gets crowned as King Napoleon, I remember the score being like pretty awesome there. They had some choir singing too. That was kind of cool.
It was no All Quiet on the Western Front, which is probably my favorite score for a war movie. But it was still on its own very good. Sure.
Yeah, that score changed things for sure. So that makes sense. But yeah, this was a terrific score. I don't know about you, but I also really liked. I thought they got the aesthetic of the time period right.
Yeah, the production design was very good.
It was terrific.
Very good production design. Very good. Whoever was on costumes did a fantastic job.
Even the simple things is like the font that they used for the text and things like that. Like the beginning, whenever it's like, hey, you're watching Napoleon or whatever. And they had, some of the lettering was in red, white, and blue, but the French version or whatever, it was cool. It was cool.
So we'll move over to the meh. So this is stuff that's not bad, but stuff that you wouldn't categorize as good. And for me, I think the biggest thing in this category is probably some of the dialogue. Some of the dialogue is super awkward.
Yeah.
The one interaction that sticks out is when, he asks for an ally's hand in the little sister of an ally's hand in marriage.
Oh, yes.
And she comes in and she's like, even more handsome. And he goes, you're handsome too. I mean, beautiful.
He like trips over his words. You definitely get the feeling that Napoleon is like, he's kind of a weird guy.
Oh, no. That's like a known thing. Napoleon was just a small but mighty weirdo.
I did not know. I always knew
like,
that he was known for being like small, and it turns out he's not super
It was still
small.
like sometimes just weird.
A little cringy.
Not enough to like be the deterrent of the movie,
Sure.
but like there was just some things that stuck out and you're like, okay, like
it had its powerful lines, and there were definitely some other lines. Even whenever he's talking to Vanessa Kirby, like sometimes it's like it's kind of cringy what you're saying right now. You know that, right? Or like whenever they like there were scenes where they were gonna like have sex or whatever, and he would just do this weird just like. And for some reason that meant like let's get it on, or you just mumble to himself. Yeah, that was kind of weird.
Yeah,
you know.
The begging for the way he begged for sex.
Yeah,
was odd like that.
I think he was trying to be a horse because he was doing the little horse like kick its feet thing or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was boy. There's some brutal sex scenes in this though. I didn't.
The sex was probably in the math for me too. Like it was kind of awkward to watch.
Yeah, it sure was.
I get it. Like,
mostly because I don't know how specific I want to get about it, but he was a little like oddly aggressive about it. Sometimes you're like,
you almost watched it and you're like, does
he like her?
Is this like 2x speed? Like that's almost what it looked like. That's what it looked like.
The first one, I genuinely was like, I thought that too.
Whoever did editing accidentally put 2 times. Yeah,
I thought that too at the beginning. I was like, did they speed this up a little bit? Because he's going
crazy.
I'm gonna be honest here. I was thinking to myself, I was like, could I even go that fast if I tried? I was like, I don't think I could.
He was consummating like a bunny, dude.
Oh my god,
he was going 100 miles per hour. It was insane.
And also, like, I also felt weird about it because it was like it felt very like it's time for me to do my thing and you have to do it or whatever. It was like weird
back then. You know,
oh, that was and also he was a general and a king, so obviously that's how. You know, and especially
sex was less
the guys
for love and it was more for
making
who's next in charge.
Exactly.
You know? So I get it in that sense. But the only other meh I have is the pacing at some moments. This movie, I'm not saying it was too long, but I feel like they could have done different things with scenes.
Yeah, I agree. Some things definitely could have been cut down a little bit.
Yeah.
Or, like, specifically the one battle scene, which also was a terrific battle scene, where it was the Battle of Waterloo. Mm-hmm. They were talking, like, there was a whole section of that battle about how they just didn't go to battle because it was raining.
Yeah.
Fuck, man, you could have cut out 15 minutes there and just said, hey, it was raining 10 minutes ago, but now it's not. Let's go.
Yeah.
Holy shit, I did not need that.
But outside of, like, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
No, I still was fine watching it. It was just
well enough.
I was aware that it was like, if I were editing this, I probably would have at least tried to cut that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I see what you're saying.
Just on a technical level, I would have tried to. But, yeah, again, at no point in this movie, I don't want to say I wasn't bored. There were definitely a moment or two I was like, this is not what I'm looking for at the moment.
Yeah.
But really, all in all, I was pretty entertained for the most part.
For the most part, yeah. So we'll hop over to the bad. Not a lot of bad. It's just some of the bad for me weighed heavier. Mm-hmm. I'll get the nitpick thing out of the way. The one nitpick thing I had was the scene where they bust in and they're forcing all the guys like currently in charge to resign so he can become king. One of the guys is forced to resign, and the wife's reaction, I was like, ugh. Like it was.
I know, and they hung on her for a while.
For like 10 seconds.
They hung on her, and she's sitting there like flailing her arms or whatever.
I was like,
it's very strange,
very weird. I guess some of the things are nitpicky, like the accents. Joaquin Phoenix did not. That was one of my biggest criticisms. It was Napoleon with an American accent.
Yes, it was.
That was one of the things that sucks, and that's why I don't think he'll get a nomination.
Yeah, for sure. If he had went balls deep and like method acted about it,
You're telling me the King of France wasn't speaking in a French accent?
I know.
Like
it was a lot like God. Whenever I watched Thanksgiving, I was like, man, some of these people are doing heavy accents. Some people are doing like medium. Some people aren't doing them at all. Yeah. I got that same feeling from this.
And then I got a little bit of the same thing I said about Priscilla a few weeks ago. I wish we learned more about Napoleon. Mm-hmm. They weighed in heavy on the relationship aspect, but still didn't tell a lot about the relationship. Mm-hmm. And then I feel like that left no time for like war leader Napoleon.
Was that
the only one that felt that way?
You actually might have been.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I would have cut down. a decent bit of that relationship stuff too. I definitely the action sequences were enjoyable, but I actually enjoyed watching the dynamic between Napoleon and his wife, only because I liked seeing like how weird and confusing they are. Because it's the toxicity of it was actually pretty interesting to me. Yeah. But again, this does leave things for me that it's like I still don't get why they feel some ways about certain things. Like there's a point where she ends up cheating on him, and then he comes back and he's like, well, I cheated on you too. And it starts out with him basically throwing out all her shit and being like, you better be sorry because I'm about done with this. And that ends with her being like, you can't live without me. And he's like crying, begging her to stay. Yeah. And I was like confused. I'm like, how did we get to this point?
The part of that, the movie that I compared to here, have you ever seen The Patriot, directed by Mel Gibson?
No, I have not.
So The Patriot's a war movie that also has a big family aspect to it, but it plays into the ending in the sense that he gets his revenge for his fallen son. This movie, I was waiting for something like that to happen. Like, why is this romantic aspect playing such a big part of this movie?
Yeah.
And then it just never happened.
I think the general purpose for it was just to be like, look how sad Napoleon's getting. Look how down on his luck he is. I think it's just supposed to be like, look at the fall of Napoleon, but really a lot of that stuff was kind of out of his hand.
It just almost made some of the scenes feel lifeless for me.
I agree.
But
this is a very cold movie, and definitely could have used a scene or two of finding out more about maybe even his relationship with his mother. They keep talking about how the mother is like the second most important person in his life.
Yeah,
she has like 2 scenes,
if that.
If that. I remember the one scene where he has to have sex with an 18-year-old girl, and she kind of pops up again at some point. I think I remember. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just odd what they chose to go with and what they chose to leave out, and I just feel like I didn't hate, like, the bads didn't completely eliminate the movie for me. Like, not knowing as much as I would have liked about Napoleon didn't kill it for me as much as did Priscilla, because that movie was like entirely about her. This movie, had some supporting characters, more of a build-up, but like the battle scenes really carried this movie for me.
Yeah. Without the battle scenes, it is kind of a different movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
When I think about this movie, to me, with all this Napoleon stuff, I think my problem with it is the same problem that a lot of people have with Henry Cavill's Superman, which is, as somebody who's gotten really, really close with that character for the last year or two, I get it, which is that both Napoleon and Superman in the Zack Snyder universe of things specifically, they kind of have this like cold, like, can't show emotion because I have to be the greatest or the best or whatever. And they kind of come off as like, I'm an emotionless god, which I think there's more nuance to it with the Henry Cavill Superman stuff, but specifically with Napoleon, that did leave a lot of characterization out, because a lot of the time he's like, I just want to be great.
Yeah.
Which is part of his characterization, but we don't learn anything past that.
Yeah.
I'd also like to understand, like, what kickstarted this obsession with wanting to be the next Alexander the Great and whatever. And I know, people just want power, but like, it would have been
right into it.
It just jumped right into it.
A little more backstory might have gone a long way as well. And I know they're making, a longer cut. I'm pretty sure they're making a 4-hour cut.
I know. He said at one point he was working with a 6-hour cut. Obviously, everyone was like, don't fucking
release that.
Yes.
But
don't even try to watch that.
I'll give the 4-hour cut a whirl. Hopefully it enhances things for me. But like,
sure, I'll give it a shot.
It just, the excitement level going into it was there, and it just fell a little flat for me. Just underwhelming.
It felt slightly underwhelming,
because I wasn't expecting the best scene in the movie. The teaser killed it, because you go in like, oh, the movie's gonna be like that, and that's the only scene like that.
Yeah, really. It might have been a marketing thing, honestly, because I was expecting a little more, and I didn't need all action all the time. I don't want all action all the time.
I wasn't expecting to be a full-blown war movie for 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Exactly. Like, I love the John Wick movies, but each movie, actually just the like second through the fourth one, each one has a little too much action for my taste. But specifically with this movie, I could have used
a little more.
It seems like Napoleon really had his strategy down and things, and I liked him talking about his strategies and things like that. I actually was interested in it, but a lot of times I also found myself confused, because I'm like, they're talking really fucking fast about things that I really am not familiar with.
Yeah.
So it kind of made things a little hard sometimes too, so that didn't help at times. But yeah, I just could have used some more. I don't know. I just like seeing the ins and out of all the creative ways he was winning wars.
Yeah, that's all I really have as far as the bad goes. But we can jump over to our final thoughts and ratings. So, any last words, and what do you give this out of 10?
If you don't mind, I actually have one bad thing I want to talk about really quick that I forgot about. The confusion with like who his wife and who his daughters were, because they really spent a lot of time with him being forced to divorce his wife so that way he could bear a son and whatever, and he already had somebody pregnant. Then he married this 15-year-old girl. I think it just shows them walking off together when they meet for the first time, and they don't cut back to it. All of a sudden, he's hanging out on an island with 2 girls after his exile. I'm like, who the fuck are these people? He said he was having a son. Where was the son?
Yeah.
He said he had a son.
It's all over the place.
Where was his son?
Yeah. Yeah.
He didn't show up once. He held him a couple times to be like, look, I'm going to attack this person and this person on this map on the floor.
The last time you see him is when he's a baby. No.
when he's a baby. Yeah. When he's holding him in his arm, he goes, Daddy's about to go to war. He goes to war, never fucking see that kid again.
Yeah.
I was confused.
Yeah. I was wondering that same thing. The ending was a little weird, too, like him just kind of falling out of the chair and then he's gone.
I didn't mind it. I minded how abrupt it felt.
It did feel very abrupt,
the ending did feel very like, this is how it's ending. And also, this is a minor nitpick to something I want to talk about. Because Joaquin Phoenix is obviously in his 50s, he's about the age that Napoleon was when he died. I mean, I think he's a little older. So because of that, they didn't want to de-age him earlier for the movie or anything. Yeah. They just kind of gave him longer hair and whatever, and just some makeup, some physical things, whatever. And then after a certain point, he just looks the same for the rest of the movie. And then he's talking to his wife, and he's like, "You've been here for 15 years." I'm like, "You have looked exactly the same the last 15 years. Not a single thing has changed. Same haircut too." Yeah. But yeah, anyway, final thoughts. I still thought it was a good movie. I might consider buying it still. I still enjoyed it enough to where I might. I really like the performance in it. I still think, despite all the things that we had to say, I still think Ridley Scott is a fantastic director.
Oh,
I think he still directed his ass off. Just some things could have been cut shorter and whatever. But all in all, I thought it was a decent movie. I'm going to go with a 7.
Okay. For me, like I said, the battle scenes carried it for me, but it still was a decent movie. I liked it more than Priscilla, but it was underwhelming for me. I'm going to go with 6. I'm going to go 6 out of 10. It's just, I was a little let down.
Yeah, I wasn't as let down as I could have been. Luckily, after already watching a movie, I was already like, all right, here's another movie. Like, I already kind of had that mindset. Plus, I hadn't eaten all day and things like that. So I was already kind of just like, whatever it's going to throw at me, I'll just take it so I can, whatever. And I walked away with some things liking more than I expected and some things disappointing me.
Yeah. I think if they just didn't market it like how they did with that teaser being the best scene in the movie, I would have liked it a little more.
I agree.
I still don't... I'm not discouraging people from going to see this movie.
Yeah, I'd recommend it. If you
technically sound, and it is beautiful in the eyes.
Beautiful in the eyes, for sure.
The color gradient, the cinematography in general, it's a gorgeous watch. Mm-hmm. In itself. So if you can appreciate the art of a movie, you'll like it just for that.
And honestly, everybody has a dad for the most part. If you got a dad out there that's really weirdly into history and war and whatever, this would be a good bonding experience, honestly. I know I should tell my grandpa to go see this. I know he'd enjoy it a lot. Yeah. So if you like, autobiography or, whatever about historical figures, I think this is still a pretty good one.
For sure. That does it for Napoleon. Thank you, Kory, again for coming on.
Anytime, buddy.
Hopefully you guys all go and check out Napoleon. Let us know what you thought in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you were meh about it.
Yes.
Let us know. If you like what you're watching, please subscribe to the channel, like, and comment again your thoughts or what we could add to the channel even to make things better. And we appreciate you all for watching as always, and we will talk to you soon.
Absolutely.
Peace.